So in this video, we're going to be covering the Dream Student Content Framework. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. I just want to say this is a resource that I've been meaning to make. I wish I had this out of all my years of creating my content. But I feel like I've really dialed in on what is the most effective content that I have created and how you can be able to replicate that as well so that you attract dream students. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you don't have a copy of this, make sure you make a copy so you get access to this. We're going to be covering a lot of things in here. So if you're ready to show up online in a way that attracts your dream students, the ones who value your teaching, stay long-term and help your business grow effortlessly, this is the guide for you. So just like I say here, I don't want you to overthink about the content creation. I really want you to use this as a guide to help you speak from your core, because that is what's really going to help attract the dream students. Not just this guide or what we cover in here, but it's the heart, it's the emotion, it's the soul of your content that's really going to do the selling. So what we'll cover today, we'll cover like the purpose of creating content, really understanding how to connect with your dream students by creating content that inspires, transforms, and positions you as the guide to their success. We'll go through messaging clarity, how to create messaging that inspires courage and conviction, the 5-part content structure. So if you are feeling stuck about where do I even start creating content, this will help you. This will give you that first step towards starting to create content really, really easily. We'll also break down an example from my post, something that's worked really recently, actually. So we'll break it all down. And then I also want to give you plug and play templates so that if you are new to this, if you just want some quick wins, this can really be able to help you put it all kind of everything we're learning here. It'll all be put into a nice little bow. So let's get in with the purpose of creating the content here. Most teachers fall into this trap where I see this how-to tutorial content. I feel like it's this TikTok craze where we're creating a lot of quick fixes, and those quick fix contents, the tutorial contents, they can help, but the goal of your content isn't just to teach, right? But it's to inspire, it's to connect, it's to lead your audience. So what I've seen, what the content that resonates with me is that it's meeting your audience where they are. It's showing them what's possible. It's positioning you as the guide that can help them get there. So there's really just 3 things that we need to think about when we create content. And these are the only 3 things. And here's the formula. It's 1, acknowledging their fears and struggles. So make sure you speak to their challenges, make them feel seen, understood, acknowledge their fears, acknowledge what they feel shame about. What we also need to do is expand their possibilities, right? Really paint a clear picture on what's possible for them. As teachers, as leaders, we're not just here to, we're not just here to sell the transformation, but we're really here to show what's possible. That's what a great leader is. A great leader expands their students' vision, expands their students' possibilities, right? You're here to tell your students hey, this is the life that you can be able to have because this is the life that I am living right now. That's what we need to do. That's the energy we need to put in through. But also positioning ourselves as the bridge, right? Actually explicitly say, I can help you get there. Don't just have them assume that you are the person. When you outwardly express that, hey, I can help you get there, that's what's going to show your confidence and your conviction through this as well. So I put here content isn't about information. It's about the transformation. Right? Any other teacher on the internet can be able to share information, but when you show the transformation, when you show it through your lens of your life, nobody can be able to replicate that. So when you create content that acknowledges fear, expands possibilities, positions you as the guide, you attract the right students who are already ready to commit. So this is how you turn that into the magnet part. So that's the first part here. Understand we only need those 3 parts. So when we're going into creating the content now, the next part that is important is our messaging clarity. It's knowing the exact words that you're going to say in your content. This section here, I put here, this section is help you uncover the heart of your teaching. So you can create content that feels courageous, aligns with your values, and connects deeply with your audience as well. So these answers will help, it'll help you It'll help guide everything that you write. But it's not limited to just the things that we're going to talk about here. But what I want you to do is after this video, I want you to fill out these questions just with as much detail as possible. This is only for you. So it's not for me. We're not going to turn this in for a grade or anything like that. But for you, the more description, the more that you can put here, the more times you can come back and be like, okay, I'm going to create a piece of content. Am I making sure I'm writing through this lens? So who are your dream students, right? Just think about like, what are your favorite students that you want more of? Just describe that, create that avatar. If you've been in the game for a long time, you've probably done some of these exercises already, but really allow your emotions to guide you through this. Allow the answers to come to you rather than you forcing out the answers. If you teach kids, what do their dream parents care about? I challenge you to think about beyond music. How is music going to impact these families' lives outside of music? What do they actually care about other than just having their kids learn scales really quickly? Step 2, why do they need you? So what makes you like you as a teacher? What do you feel really proud of, right? Like, I feel like some people ask me like, what's special about you? What's unique about you? I don't know. Like, I don't think about that every day, but what are you proud of that you have done in your lessons? What are you proud of about the transformations that only you have been able to create with your students? Those are the things that really make you you. So feel free to answer those. And then step 3, the transformation you provide. Again, same thing, your personal mission. This one is really important. What is the why behind your teaching? How can you use your content to share the context of that with your students? Because if they just think that you're teaching music just because you like it, right? It's, that's cool and all, but like it doesn't hit home. It doesn't hit the heart. And the reason why you are creating music in the first place isn't just because music is all that you ever knew what to do, but it's because it's changed your life. Like, talk about that. Talk about how music has truly changed your life and how it's giving you everything that you're really grateful for. Like, that is what our job is as teachers. Our job is to be like the advocates of a life in music. So share why your mission is to be able to share that with other people as well. So how to use this section. Again, I didn't want to go too deep into this. You can read this all in the guide. But once you've answered these questions, this will be your clear foundation for your messaging. So that every time you create a piece of content, you know the words that you are going to use, right? It doesn't have to be like exactly what you wrote up here, but it's going to help recall like, okay, this is what I should be talking about. So write your answers down, keep it here for easy access. Before creating your content, just look at this, right? Remind yourself of the key ideas you want to highlight and let these words, let this guide, let these ideas guide your words so that every post feels aligned with your vision and speaks to the students that you truly want to teach. So the next part here is the 5-part content structure. So what I actually did is, rather than just like creating this structure and then like creating the structure from scratch, what I did is I took my posts and the posts that I really liked, and I asked myself, what is the commonality behind all of these posts that I've written? And they all have these 5 parts. And if you are able to create a piece of content with these 5 parts in it as well, it's going to be really hard to not make your content transformational. So we'll kind of break it down here. This will all be inside the guide. So I'll just share my interpretation of all of these things. So 1, the hook and the headline. That's the most important part. So I won't emphasize it too much. There's lots of videos out there that tell you headline's the most important part. I've heard it beat into me so many times, but it truly is the most important part, because if you don't get somebody to stop scrolling, then how are they ever gonna read the content that you're creating? So your first sentence has one job: to stop the scroll. What I personally think about when I think about my headlines is it emotional, right? Does it connect to somebody emotionally, right? For example, this one: sick of practicing the same songs and feeling stuck. Let's change that, right? It's like People are like, your audience feels sick about that, right? They're going to want to stop that. Make sure that you infuse emotion into the hook, or make sure that when somebody reads the first headline, that they actually feel something from that. And the best way to do that is asking yourself, do I feel something when I read this headline? Like, what emotion am I feeling? If you are not feeling anything, then that's something that we need to change. Number two here, relatable story. So this could be a story, this could be an analogy, it could be a testimonial, but really just add in some sort of social proof here that is kind of validating this story. And also too, like, storytelling is a great way to engage the audience. It's something that I often lean into when I'm consuming content. I often lean into those with, like, that are telling stories. So create a story. It does not have to be anything complicated, but tell a quick story that of like acknowledging, hey, I know how you're feeling, type of thing. Three, agitate the problem. So call out the fears, the frustrations, the obstacles your students face without, without shaming them for it. Like, we still want to acknowledge, hey, I know you're going through these problems because I have been through them as well, rather than like, if you're going through these problems, then you need my help in order to fix it. Like, you need to fix it now. Like, nobody likes to feel shamed about that. And also, when you shame your audience, you're going to attract people who feel shame, who are dependent on you, rather than actually courageous people, self-led students. But make sure you're agitating the problem, that we call it out. But number four here, I feel like this is the most important part here: expanding the vision. Show them what's possible. Like, paint a picture on how their life could change, and truly make it like descriptive. Make it emotional. Make it so that when somebody reads the picture that you're painting, the vision that they could have for themselves, like, they need to feel something. They need to feel excited about that. They need to feel emotional about that. They need to feel like, it's almost like when you listen to a song and you get the chills from it. It's like that. When you read that back for from your copy and from your content, you're heading in the right place. And then the last part here, call to action. So end with a clear next step. I often say, like, if somebody wants to dive deeper into this with you, what is the next step? Is it to get a guide from you? Is it to DM you for more info? Whatever that is, make sure that there is a next step after reading your content. I was explaining this to a client today, actually, that there are going to be a certain amount of people that read your content and want to dive deeper into it. It's kind of like when you go on YouTube and you start binging through content. Imagine if there was nothing, like no next step. You're leaving people on a cliffhanger, right? So allow the people who want to dive deeper to have a clear next step on what to do next. So that's how I see the call to action. So some key principles to follow here: speak to who they want to become. Right, I see this a lot. Like I teach scales and techniques, right? Your lessons are much more than that, right? You help the students play the songs that they've always dreamt of. You help students have that confidence that they could have in their entire life. Like, that is a true transformation right there. Share your energy, not just your information. Like we talked about before, reflect their emotions back to them. So it's almost like you are a mirror to them. Show that empathy. Show like that you truly understand them. And here are also some prompts to create content effortlessly. You don't have to stick to this specifically, but these are things that have helped me just spark some ideas and allow ideas to come to me as well. So, like, the beginner struggle, you don't even have to like confine yourself to just like beginners, but like, what are the advanced players struggling with, right? Like, don't forget, those people are people you can serve, people you might even want to serve. You might not even want to serve beginners anymore. Talk about what are the student transformations you've been through, common myths or misconceptions. What is your teaching philosophy, your vision, right? So a checklist that you can use before each post is, am I hitting the hook? Is the headline strong enough to stop them from scrolling? Am I making a connection with them? Does it reflect their emotional struggles or goals? Am I talking about a transformation? Have I painted a clear picture on what's possible for them? Have I expanded, have I shown them like what's possible that they never thought could be them in the first place? Action step, right? What is the next step if they want to dive deeper? This is a great checklist. Make sure that you use this before every single post that you do until you start creating that habit already. So here's an example post that I posted on my Instagram, and I added in some comments on a breakdown for it as well. You can feel free to take a look at it. It's pretty self-explanatory here, but inside I marked down like, where is the hook, right? Where did I put the story? Where did I put the fears and objections? And you can simply see that, like, I think when I observe my content, I notice that I don't necessarily create how-to content. For example, this one is around moving beyond private lessons. I put here, moving on private lessons can happen with one decision. And I don't talk about necessarily like, this is how you move beyond private lessons. This is how you transition to group lessons or online courses. But I talk about why it's important. I talk about when you are able to do this, this allows you to have this type of life. This allows you to solve these problems. And then that's what my coaching is for, right? My coaching is to show them how, because there is just so much that my clients need to know already. There's so much that they need to know that I can't fit it all into one post. But what I can fit into the post is talk about why this is important. So when you're creating content, no need to focus so much on like, this is how you do things, or like a tutorial based content. There's a time and place for that, right? You can be able to do that, but don't rely on your entire content to be that type, right? What's more powerful, what's going to help your students move quicker and make big moves a lot faster is when you teach them and when you show them, this is why you need to solve this problem. This is why this problem is so important to solve, because when you solve it, you could have this type of life. This is the life. This is the vision that you could be able to live if you did solve this problem. That's what we're really doing through our content. So feel free to take a look at that example, because the last part here is plug and play templates. So this here, I really want to help this be able to like be your launch pad, allow you to start like creating really effective content. So I've created a few examples in here that you can take a look at. Feel free to use this kind of like a Mad Libs thing. Like if you've ever done Mad Libs before, it's like fill in the blank templates. Feel free to use this, but also what I would encourage you to do is save a lot of the content creators that you really look up to, the influencers that you really like their content, save their content and feel free to emulate them. Obviously, don't copy them word for word, but study their structure and study like the structure and the framework of what they talk about, and insert your own information in there. That's how we create really great content really quickly. It's kind of like when you're playing a piece, right? You study different people's interpretations of the piece. You take what works, what you like from that, and you create your own interpretation. That's what we're really doing here with the content creation. So there's a plug and play template in general for any music teachers. Example post, I just put in like an example of an instrumental teacher in there, like a guitar teacher. What would it look like with that? But also too, like, what if you're marketing to parents? What if your students aren't even on Facebook? What if they're not even on Instagram? What if it's the parents on there? I think this part is really important. Here's an example of how you can speak to the parents of it. And I think what's really important about this one is the outcomes part, because you're not just painting the picture on like what it can look like for the student musically, right? I don't know how much a parent really cares about their kids being able to learn all this music theory and play scales really quick. Like, I would not care about that as a parent. I did not even care about that as a student, right? But what parents really care about, and what I would challenge you to think about, is how do we connect music to things that are just bigger than music, like bigger in life, right? That is truly, again, our job as music teachers is to teach people why it's so important to have a life in music. So when you get to this part, the outcomes, really paint a picture on what life could look like for their child and the family. What can the family life look like? And when you do that, you're going to be able, like, you're going to get parents who care about music way more than just, is my kid good at music? They care more about the emotional benefits. They care more about the life benefits, and they are bought into, I want my kid to have a life in music. When you have a parent like that, when you have a student who really cares about that, that's a student for life right there. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, that's the type of dream student that you want to attract as well. So just to wrap it up, go ahead and use this framework to help you as your guide. Remember, we cover the 5 things here: the purpose of creating content, messaging, clarity, 5-part content structure, the example and the breakdown, and the plug and play templates. If you want my feedback with any of these things, right, I feel like the next step for you is to create your own content through the plug and play templates, and then hand it over to me. If you want my feedback, I could be able to make sure you're on the right track based on like what I know about you and your audience and your business and stuff like that. So let me know if this content or this resource is able to help, and I'm excited to give you your feedback.